Hello and welcome to Black Ribbon. Thank you very much for tuning in today. It is the Black Ribbon Ramble podcast, and I am joined by my friend Dan.
Oh, hello. Oh, solely by me.
Yes, solely by you. No one else. It's just Dan and I for today. Josh is fucked off to Korea. Why did I say Korea?
Korea. I don't think he's coming back.
Depends which Korea he went to.
Yeah, true. I think we wouldn't know if he'd gone to North. The southern area, I think he'd be, well, it'd be interesting.
Yes.
Well, I've heard he's going for the new director of communications role,
He's taken over. Yeah.
Yeah, which has become increasingly free for someone to take over.
I know. It seems a space opens up quite regularly over there.
I mean, it can't be that hard a job, really, because no one cares at the moment. Because Trump could literally say anything on Twitter, and no one cares.
Everyone
anymore.
cares.
The
left go mad, and the right just literally just suck on his balls. Yeah, just like Jesus Christ. There is so many polar opposites of it, and it's just like. Oh
but it's got to the stage now where it's so ridiculous and so excessive that he has to literally murder someone before he gets impeached.
I know. It is just
really mad,
fucking nuts, and it amazes me. Scaramucci survived 10 days. Spicer survived 6 months. Now, during Scaramucci's period, he had 4 scandals. 4 scandals. And he lost his wife in the process.
Now that is a successful
His wife filed for divorce. Dude must have just been happy to get out there. It's like the Midas touch, isn't it? Really, just everything Trump touches doesn't turn to gold; it just withers and dies.
Pretty much. What's that? Did you see him? I remember I saw him in his first interview, and I thought
Scaramucci's a fucking weird bastard.
He's a dodgy mofo.
He is. He's an
There's
Italian.
something wrong.
He's like the New York Italian style, Queens. He started off in a blue-collar family and then ended up in Goldman Sachs or whatever it was, one of the big banks. Yeah, he was a banker.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think it was Goldman Sachs. It might have been one of the other big ones, but it's just like the dude's a banker coming into a communications role. It's like, what the fuck? Very weird. But I can't really say that we're professionals on the topic, so I think we'll move on from politics for the time being and talk about some recent movies that have gone on.
Yeah, it's been a very good month. Very, very good month. I remember about a month ago when I was just distraught at the lack of actual proper decent films. It was just crap after crap. Whereas this month, well, not this month because it's only just started, but July and heading into mid-August, there's some real crackers. And I think what should we talk about first? We talk about CGI monkeys?
Yeah, I think we'll start at the beginning. So you have War for the Planet of the Apes?
Correct.
Yes. So just an FYI, there might be some spoilers in here. I don't think anyone's going to really mind, but I will notify if we're going to come across a spoiler. But so try and keep it spoiler free for this first section.
Okay.
So no, I thought I enjoyed it.
Yes, so did I, and my review's up because it's the third one in the latest Apes installment, and I've always been I thought the first one was the best out of the two, the one with James Franco in where it kind of goes into the development of Caesar, and then the second one, although I thought was superb in terms of the effects, I don't think it had the kind of...
It wasn't as strong.
No, definitely not. And I liked the kind of emotional duo between James Franco and Caesar, whereas in Dawn, I can't remember even the name of the guy who was in it. But it was
yeah, the guy who then went into Terminator and then survived like 5 or 6 films around about that period and then vanished.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't seen anything since.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I didn't connect as much with the second one. But then this one, I mean, I was gripped from the beginning. It's very long. It's very dark. I mean, there's times where like the apes are being whipped raped and tortured, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus, this is a 12A. Like, if that was humans, if it was actual humans being tortured like this, it'd be, well, I assume it'd be a 15, but because it's CGI
Easy.
apes, it just, I mean, 12A obviously is meant for 12-year-olds, but obviously anyone under with an adult could have gone. But I mean, I wouldn't take an 8-year-old or under to see that.
No. Yeah,
It was,
I did enjoy it. The story, at points, it felt like it was dragging on a little bit.
yeah, it wasn't perfect in terms of
The
the
flow
overall length. Yeah, the flow, it did kind of stop at certain
kind of
points
went, it
to.
dipped and dove, and it was all a bit like,
I like
okay.
the nods to like Apocalypse Now and Great Escape. It was quite funny because I was thinking, oh, this is Apocalypse Now, especially when Woody Harrelson's character was shaving his head
Hmm.
on top of the bridge bit, and I'm thinking, well, that's basically Marlon Brando. And then about 20 seconds later, when they go like into the undergrowth bits and it says Apocalypse Now, I'm thinking, yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. But no, I thought it was very good. It's very dark, and the action I thought was brilliant. I think it's in terms of a spectacle, I
The
thought it was
action was
superb.
very good, yeah. Yeah. Now, now there was one thing that really pissed me off, and this is where we're going to come into the spoiler sort of part of it.
Go ahead.
Is the ending. So what we were told, this whole trilogy was going to be the prequel to the Planet of the Apes, the classic Planet of the Apes. Yeah,
Charlton Heston version, yeah.
yeah, it was all going to get to that point, and that's where we were going to be at the end of it or something. And it feel, excuse me, it feels with spoiler the death of Caesar that they've just kind of ignored that and they've gone, no, no, fuck it, we'll do our own thing now.
Well, I think so. I think they couldn't really, um, like it couldn't be a trilogy that would then head on to the Charlton Heston version. Because I'm pretty sure the character of Caesar was a character in one of the original ones anyway.
He was the
So with him,
leader.
yes,
Caesar
but with
was
him
the leader.
dying,
That's what I
but
find odd, that you've gone through all of these iterations with the idea that you were going to be setting up the groundwork for this original, for the future story sort of thing, and
hmm,
then at the last minute just go, no, we're done.
yeah, it
We're
did
going to
seem
kill him
rather
off.
strange.
And I was a
I
bit
think,
like, that kind of just ruins that whole plot.
yeah, I don't think that's a. I think that's a post production or a company decision rather than a narrative decision. I think because they've killed him, they've let. I think they could leave it open for more potential sequels now. I know it sounds really weird, but I
Yeah,
think
as a potential. Yeah,
yeah,
I did initially think that it was like they're going to do some sort of some spin-off or
because
something after.
exactly because now he's
Uh,
dead, they could go right. We got a new character. We're not going to end it just there. We're going to add another story and then have someone completely different.
yeah, I
Um,
think that would be a terrible move if they do go ahead with that.
yeah, it's not unknown now, is it? I mean, you look at certain films where they are it would just be a trilogy or a couple of films, and it ends up being like 26 films, and it's just money. And then it's a shame because then the original, obviously, it's a remake series anyway. But I mean, you look at the Nolan Batman series, like there was never a need to kind of carry on from that. And
Yeah,
I know I like Ben Affleck, and there was always going to be another Batman. But it does seem a bit too soon that there's going to be another fully fledged Batman film. It was the same with Spider Man. I mean, I remember when Tobey Maguire was Spider Man,
no,
and
it wasn't
it
even that.
doesn't
It was
seem that
Andrew
long ago.
Garfield. That wasn't long ago. That was literally like 2 or 3 years ago that that was out, wasn't it?
Exactly. And I know they find it like add him into the MCU somehow, but it just seems like it's come around so quickly that I mean that's the problem I had with Spider Man. And I was like, yeah, okay, I've seen the Spider Man films before, which is
Hmm.
probably why I didn't enjoy it as much as say films like Doctor Strange, the ones that the characters I didn't really know. Whereas with
Yeah,
Spider
I think
Man,
that's always, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know what powers he has. Okay, he might have a cool suit, but
Superhero fatigue.
I think it is
Yeah,
because we've seen him so often in the space of what
and I think that's
over a
kind of why I
decade.
didn't really meld with Tony Stark within the Spider-Man either.
Hmm.
It was a bit like he's in everything.
Yeah.
Everything. You can't get away from Robert Downey Jr. at the moment in the Marvel series. It's as simple as that. But don't get me
He is
wrong,
the
I enjoyed
moneymaker
the
though,
movie.
isn't he?
But yeah, it just kind of seemed a bit of an odd thing to include.
Mm.
So overall, what did you rate the movie?
I think I gave it an 8.
You gave it
8
an
out of 10. Let me double check. Okay, I think I pretty because I'm pretty sure it's in my top 20 still. Only just. Have a
what?
look.
The Are you talking about Spider-Man or are you talking about more
Oh,
recent?
sorry. Spider-Man I gave a 7, and Apes I gave an 8.
You gave the Apes an 8. Cool. Yeah, I think I could agree with you on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So,
sat nicely at number 15 of my top
do you
20 of the
actually have a
year.
list already?
I do. I have a
You have a
Word
list?
document.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it's hard to keep track, so I have them nicely written up.
You're ready for the end of the year.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like my mum was buying Christmas presents in January.
literally as soon as I watch a film, I'm like, right, that's in there. But because I watch so many, like I would just forget. So when they're
Yeah.
in a nice line, it's like, ah, there we go. So yeah, it's in between John Wick Chapter 2 at 14 and It Comes at Night at 16. So it's hanging in there.
It Comes at Night. I can't remember that.
It was that was a horror film that came out about 3 weeks ago. It was about it had Joel Edgerton in. It was about a family, and it was like after a virus has basically wiped out the entirety of humanity, and they're living in this like little house, and then they come across this other family, who they then invite into their house, and then stuff happens. Very good
I
and very dark. I'll
can't
tell you what it's
say I
like.
recognise that.
Did you watch the girl with all the gifts last?
The girl with all the gifts?
Or the girl? Yeah, I think it was that. It was the zombie. Well, it wasn't a zombie film.
No.
Actually, it wasn't. It was basically The Last of Us, just set in London with Glenn Close. And this film, It Comes at Night, is very similar in terms of The Last of Us kind of
Yeah.
narrative about a pollutive. Well, what is it in Last of Us? It's like a virus
I don't
gas
know
thing,
because
isn't
I've
it?
not actually played because I don't have a
All right,
PlayStation. It was a
good grief.
PS exclusive.
Mm. But yeah,
I
it's
want to
very
play
good.
it because it's just like, yeah, I've heard so much about it.
Mm.
I've heard that it is one of the best because they're bringing out a Last of Us 2 within the next couple of years. And
Correct.
yeah, I'm just kind of knee deep in the Witcher series at the moment. I've been playing a lot of the Witcher number 2. Got through the first one, I'm on the second one now, which is also thoroughly good. I'm quite
Yeah,
enjoying it.
I think I tried to because I remember when the third one was coming out, and I was like, "Oh, this looks pretty good." And I tried to play the first one, so I naughtily downloaded it, and then I just couldn't.
The
I
fir-
couldn't get with
I
it.
w- I won't deny the first one, like the story's good. It can get really quite complex and a bit like
Mm.
what my I'm trying to like what it's like who what and they're recalling all of these names and you're a bit like I
Yeah.
don't remember. I'm so lost.
Mm.
Um, and the combat system was garbage.
It was crap on it. I remember playing it, and I
That
was
you
like,
had to
"Jesus."
switch styles depending on what you were doing, and if you were
Mm.
fighting monsters, you had to fight with a silver weapon, which is what you do in this one, but you don't have to change your fighting stance or anything like that.
No, the combat in Witcher 3 was fantastic.
I haven't got to it. I haven't got to that yet. Currently number 2. Um, it is. It's got a lock-on mechanism, and you can do heavy and quick, but
Hmm.
it's still not as good. It's not where it
Right.
should be, sort of thing.
Mm.
So I think if once I get onto the third, that the combat will be perfect, and then the
Yeah,
mechanics would have kind of been polished up there. Yeah, I'm excited to get there. I really am because I've
yes.
played a few little bits at EGX over the years when they've been put demos on
Mm.
PCs that they're displaying. You've got these wicked, great big computers, 4K
Mm.
monitors, and all this with water cooling, SLI cards, and all this. It's like wow. now I'm going to sit here and play the game on this flashy computer. And you sit there and run around and punch people and all this sort of stuff. It was, yeah. And that was literally just doing fuck all in sort of the wastelands or something. So no.
Yeah, and the graphics are beautiful.
They are.
Probably
Wow.
one of the best looking games I've ever played, Witcher 3.
Yes. Yes. So I look forward to that.
Good.
But yeah, currently a bit deep. I've got some Sherlock games as well that I bought the other week during the actual Steam sale.
All right.
Do you know the Sherlock games? I can't remember what they're called now.
I can't say I've played the games, no.
I'm not sure if I can look through here. No, I can't. Not while I'm recording. But they're Sherlock Holmes games, and there's a new one that came out not long ago. So the pair of them were up for sale, and it was like 20 quid for the pair. And I sat there and thought, fuck it, why not? Because I sat for a while. I've been sitting about, and I've been having a hankering to play LA Noire.
Again. Oh yeah, brilliant game.
I loved that game. I thought it was wicked, but it was a bit like I still know how it ends, sort of thing. And I saw that, and I thought that could be interesting. That could do it. So like the investigation process and all that might be quite entertaining in that.
But yeah, I love that. It was a very strange game because, spoilers, even though it's about 10 years old, because your main character dies, doesn't it? And then you've got to take over as like some random cop. Because I remember drowning in a well, and I was thinking, did I mean to die? Was that part of the plan? Did I go wrong somewhere? Yeah, it was very cool. And I remember like the actual guy who was behind the murders, like he work in a bar or something, and then you actually do speak to him like 10 minutes into the game, but you have to ask the right questions, and then I just completely just missed. It was the same with Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain, in terms of like missing the clues. I think I managed to murder everyone. Yes, I think the dad drowned in a hole or something.
Yeah, I think it was one of the only games that kind of killed you, if you know what I mean. Actually killed the main character.
Oh yeah.
Because I can't think of any other examples that would kill the main character.
Or Red Dead Redemption.
Well, that was the end of the story, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was while you still continued on in what do you call it? LA Noire. You still completed that whole investigation and all that. But this, in Red Dead Redemption, you could just go around and just finish any sort of side quests as his son, couldn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a little different with that. But it's a very different way to go. It's something you just completely don't expect. But I've got so many games to play, and it's so little time to do them. But we'll get around to them. But finally, I think we should move on to the big kicker of last month. Seeing you've already spoken his name, Christopher Nolan.
Beast.
Dunkirk.
Kirk of Dun.
I have noticed you gave it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's I've seen it 3 times in the cinema now, and it's just the first time I watched it, I was like, that was something else. And then the second time I watched it, I was like, yes. Because the first time I watched it, obviously the kind of, although I was aware about the 3 narratives about them being completely different times and all that, it doesn't really work, I think, until you watch it a second time. And then you can go, oh, that boat was from that bit. That plane we're coming across was that bit there. Oh, that's him waving in the cockpit. And it just works as, just a spectacle. I mean, a lot of people complain, oh, there's not a leading character to like get emotionally involved with. But I'm thinking, well, that's not really the point.
It wasn't a single character, though, was it? That's the thing.
No.
There wasn't a single character. You had a group.
Yeah.
And you started that with whoever that British soldier was. I have no idea who that bloke is, by the way. I've heard his name a couple of times, but I have never seen him in anything else. So this is like, must be one of his big breaks sort of thing.
Oh, definitely. But that's what Nolan wanted. He said, when reading about like the Dunkirk, about how young the people were involved, he just wanted a reasonably unknown cast to kind of have that effect. But the article you sent me about that critic who said it left him cold, etc., that was basically arguing that because there's no kind of emotional response because there's hardly any dialogue, hardly any characterization.
Yeah.
Like in a film like Saving Private Ryan, which tends to be like the go-to film for war epics. But I don't think
It's an
that's well
American war epic though, and I
exactly.
think the American war epics are always very bloody and gory, and there's always a lot of screaming and
Mm.
yeah,
I mean, they are fantastic, but Nolan.
America, fuck yeah, sort of thing. It's always that. It's America just stroking themselves off.
Mm. But Nolan basically said, "Look, this is not what I want to do. I want it to be the spectacle. Obviously, there will be characters, but there's not going to be time to get to go for people to sit down and explain the plot and go to their backstory. It's going to
Mm.
be, look, this is where you are. This is what's happening. Just enjoy the ride." And I thought the ride was exceptional.
The
I
ride was
mean,
very good. Now, I don't agree with everything in the article, the Guardian article that I sent you,
mm.
and I don't agree with your score.
Good
I will
grief.
give it a 9, but I do have to agree that the scale wasn't there. He was talking, they were continuously making this whole thing about 400, 500,000 people on this beach, and you
Mm.
saw at most 200. And it was a bit like, I am not seeing vast swathes of people. All of these boats, they just didn't feel like enough. And 3 planes. 3 Spitfires. They didn't send 3 Spitfires over during the whole thing. They sent squadrons. They sent a lot. It wasn't enough, but they sent a lot. And it's a
Mm.
bit like, I wanted to see, I don't want to see like the American sort of war epic. I wanted that scale. I wanted to be able to see almost, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I'm not sure
Mm.
if I'm getting this over quite well enough, but there just wasn't enough there to go, wow, that's a lot of people. You looked at that beach and went, wow, that's a small beach, and that is not very many people. And
Mm.
why is
Yeah,
there only like 20 boats? It's just like, what? How are you gonna
yeah.
fit?
But I think my opinion on that, I understand what you're coming from in terms of the overall kind of numbers, but I think because he's basically said, look, there's not going to be any well, obviously there's a little CGI, but it's all going to be practical. We're all going to have real people on that beach to make it look. I mean, if you look at Dark Knight Rises, that kind of penultimate battle when Batman returns and all the police are there and they're fighting Bane and all that. I mean, obviously that wasn't CGI. That the people were there doing it, and I think that's kind of an idea that Nolan has throughout his films. And
Which I
there
do
is there
respect that, yeah. But
there is moments I do agree with you when I'm like, doesn't look like there's 400,000 people on that beach
yeah, well, he
at
did this
once.
whole panning shot over the beach, and you see like 7 or 8 lines of people, and then you just see beach.
Mm,
And it was like, there needs to be more. It's like I get him for what he's trying to do, that he doesn't want to show, that he doesn't want to use CGI or anything like that. But there needed to be that,
mm,
because not a lot of people know Dunkirk, quite frankly. And if you're looking at all these articles that people are churning out about, people don't know. No one knows what this story is actually about. They didn't know when this happened. They didn't know about this until they went to the cinema to watch it. They
mm,
didn't know the horrors that they fought. And I think the CGI would have just given it that little bit. They would have given it a bit more scale. It would have cost a little bit, and it would have had to been done very well, but it would have kind of solidified numbers. I'm not asking to see 400,000 people on the beach. I'm asking to see a fairly crowded beach.
mm. Yeah, see, I don't mind that. I didn't bother me. I understand why it might. Um,
I just, it's kind of something that I picked up when I was watching. It's like, that doesn't, it's a bit like, what?
mm,
It almost felt like a goof at that point. But Christopher Nolan
mm,
is very good. But I did hear also some people were suggesting that had Nolan not directed it, that Paul Greengrass, is it Greengrass?
Correct. Yeah, the Bourne director. Yeah.
I know him particularly for
Tim Phillips.
shit. Captain Phillips, yes.
Hmm.
And a lot of people were saying that he would have been a good player for that.
Yeah, well, he's very similar in terms of the fact
Yeah,
that he doesn't really rely heavily on CGI. It's practical. He always gets the best out of his actors. I mean, he kind of reinvent. I know there was only one Bourne film before, but the change between identity and supremacy is ridiculous. I mean, the first one was good fun, but it didn't have like the kind of cutting edge that the second and third ones did, which were just so ridiculously like intense.
complex and
And
yeah.
yeah, and just the editing and the kind of shaky cam, which is kind of famous nowadays. It was just, yeah. I mean, I like Paul Greengrass. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker.
It would
Um,
be interesting. It will never happen, but it would kind of be interesting if you could see what his take would have been on it and how he would have changed it or how he
hmm.
would have filmed it and all that. That would have been very interesting to see. Kind of put
I know
those
it's
two up against
a
each
bit of
other.
a bit of a side kind of idea, but I mean, if you look at Paul Greengrass, it's very similar. Obviously, obviously Nolan did all three of the Batman films, but he's kind of an unknown director. Then went on to big things with the Bourne films, and then I mean, if you look at United '93 about the Twin Towers, I mean, in a way, that's a very Dunkirkian movie. It's a real historical event, albeit a bit closer to the time period.
Yeah.
It was they used unknown actors to kind of ramp up the drama, and it was all practical effects. It was well, it's a fantastic movie, and obviously Dunkirk is completely different. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see. I think it would have been excellent. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's never going to happen anytime soon anyway that another Dunkirk film's going to pop up. But no, it would have been interesting. Very
No, it
interesting.
would be kind of funny if you could have like the pair of them. All right, you're both charged in making this movie. Here's some
Mm.
money. You make one, and you make one, and we'll see which one comes out and what they look like.
Yeah.
Sort of a bit like a game show. But
Well, well, they're doing that with Jungle Book, aren't they? Because you had Jungle Book last year, the John Favreau one, and then next year you've got another one. Because
really?
that, yeah, you've got, I think it's Jungle Book Origins, and it's got people like Christian Bale and Andy Serkis in. I think Andy Serkis
Oh
might
my
be
god.
directing it, but they were in production at exactly the same time, and it was pretty much a race to see who could be released first. And obviously, you had the Disney one out first, so they kind of said, "Oh, okay, we'll leave it a year and a bit before we release the other ones." Yeah, very strange.
Jungle
Just
Book
aside,
Origins.
I think it's called something like that. I'll just
What the
Google it.
fuck's it going to be on? Is it going to be on about the writer? Because I know they're doing a lot of these sort of writing about the author films. Well, I know we're getting a lot of those lately, but
No, it's just called. Well, actually, it was called Jungle Book Origins. Origins. It's now just called Jungle Book. Yeah, and it's direct. It's directed by Andy Serkis uh, and it's out next year. But anyway, as I'm on Wikipedia and I was just looking at Paul Greengrass, the
mhm,
next film he's doing is another adaptation of 1984.
1984.
Oh, come on. George Orwell, very famous novel.
Looks like it rings bells, but
Big Brother basically was like the dystopian future, and the original film had John Hurt in.
in a totalitarian future society, a man whose daily work is rewriting history tries to rebel by falling in love.
Mm, yeah, very famous book.
I've actually not seen that. Two plus two
Oh,
equals five is the
correct.
tagline.
Which is also a Radiohead song, but yeah,
Okay.
very good.
No, I don't think I've actually seen that.
All right. I think we read the book in school, and then I caught up with the film
You
a
read
couple of
that
years
one. We
after.
read, in my particular one, we had Of Mice and Men,
Yeah, we had that as well.
and we had the Minority Report movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we did that.
I did
And
that at uni.
some of the. You did that at uni?
Yeah, we did Minority Report. We
Oh
did it in
shit, yeah, of
the.
course we did. Yeah, sorry, I was like, how does it. Wait a second. No, and the other one was. Now it was for the classes that were a little bit more adept in English literature.
Oh, hello.
I wasn't. Did Lord of the Flies?
Yes, which we didn't do.
Yeah, so maybe that was the sort of switch. You did that one, we did this one. But you're also a year below me, aren't you? So maybe
Correct.
there was some sort of switch. I don't know. Hmm, can't say I've
Interesting.
ever heard of that, but yeah. So yeah, in total, I would agree with a 9. I would go for a 9 for Dunkirk.
It was my film of the year. It's
Very,
up there with La La Land.
it is, it was just incredible.
Mm.
Those scenes where the boats were capsizing with the people in them
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
the hollow screams echoing through the chambers was
Mm.
just terrifying.
That's what I mean.
And
There's bits
yeah,
when you see the second time that the bit I didn't hear the first time is when I think it's when they all when Harry Styles joins the picture and then they go onto the next boat and
and
the
they get
French guys.
crushed.
Yeah, the
Oh,
bit when the water when they get torpedoed and
mm-hmm.
then they escape and there was sort of like this banging and I originally thought it was the soundtrack, but I realized it was actually the soldiers banging
Yeah.
on the ship to try and like someone to save them. I'm thinking, Jesus. I mean, that film's a 12A. I mean, I wouldn't take
Oh, I don't think
a
no.
younger child to see that.
No, I don't think they could appreciate it. I don't think you'd have the entertainment value there for them.
Oh, definitely.
I took my mum.
How did
Came
she
my mum and
find it?
I. Well, my mum is going on the holiday over to the. Oh, they've been there this fucking weekend. Um, oh bloody hell! The graves, the war graves. She's taken a trip to go see the war graves in France, and
Oh yeah.
she's very much into her family ancestry and World War One and Two. She
Mhm.
likes that sort of thing. And whenever I find medals at auctions, she's always interested to try and find who owned them and all
Mm.
that sort of stuff. And she was physically shaken. She was in tears at the end of it.
Really,
And I can
blimey.
agree because I kind of sat there and it was like, that is terrifying.
Mm.
It really did just kind of grip and go, fuck.
Mm.
And yeah, that moment where the boat capsized with people just crushed in between the wood and the metal
Yeah.
of the boat, the hull of the boat, and it's just like, oh my god. The screams and then the silent crunch and then gone. The sudden
Mm.
silence, the eerie silence of it, and the plane landing in the oil slick at the end.
Oh,
And
that was fantastic. Cool, I know. And then obviously the I felt sorry for the chap who had to choose between either drowning or burning to death.
yeah,
And he just popped, and I was like, Jesus. I mean, the first time I watched it, I must have jumped about 6 times just because of the sound. And every time I've gone and watched it, it's just the sound of the bullets and the boom and the torpedoes. The
hmm
sound of that movie is so ridiculously loud, but oh, it's just brilliant.
it
Fantastic.
is,
And
yeah.
I think it's going to be a different experience watching it at home than it would be on the biggest screen possible because it's the kind of film that
It's
needs to
got a
be
different
seen.
aspect ratio to it as well. So
Exactly,
yeah, I think you'd have to have the sort of sound system and the TV there to really kind of appreciate.
definitely.
Um, I think impact-wise, it would still have a very big impact on some people if you're not sat there looking for the visuals and stuff like that. You
Mm,
just kind of watching it. Yeah, I think it would be
mm.
quite good in that. But it's just
I mean, that's the thing with Nolan films because I originally had like all of his films on DVD, and obviously then I got the PS4, and I was like, right, these are the kind of films that need to be watched on Blu-ray just because of the
mm,
IMAX. And it was just I remember watching. I think it must have been Interstellar when I bought that on Blu-ray, and just the iMac just looked absolutely stunning, even on the smaller screen. It's still quite a big screen, but I just couldn't get over the fact that I mean, IMAX is the way forward. I think most films eventually will then use it, especially big blockbusters. I know films like Transformers and the other crappy films use it, but Nolan knows how to use it well.
yeah, yeah. and I would be highly surprised if that didn't win awards.
Oh, it's got to. I mean, just for the sound design, the cinematography. I don't think it will win any acting awards. I don't think there's that. I don't think because there
No,
is a main actor, they can't, unless it's an ensemble award, but there isn't an award for that. But in terms of the direction, cinematography, sound, well, I mean, because it's practical, they couldn't really win visual effects because there doesn't seem to be any. Um, yeah, so sound, cinematography, direction,
and
editing,
director.
probably director. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't win a few. Which is interesting because it is a summer release, and if you look at like the kind of big winners in the past few years, it's always been like the January and February releases in the UK that have won the Best Picture awards. So yeah, and it's about time he bloody won an Oscar. He hasn't won an Oscar yet for any of his films. So Dunkirk, hopefully, will be the first one for him to take home the gong because he deserves it. He's a fantastic director.
He would, yeah, he would thoroughly deserve that. It was just gripping.
Mm.
You kind of sat there and went, I can't explain it. I can't kind of put it into words. It's just like, fuck.
Mm.
Jesus Christ.
But unfortunately, because it's so good, it's one of those films now that it's cool to not like it because it's received like endless plaudits and everyone said it's fantastic. Like that's why I hate going on like Twitter and Facebook, and everyone goes, "Actually, oh, it's crap, it's boring." I'm thinking, what? How can you even say that? That's why that Guardian article wound me up. I kind of
Yeah, that
understood what you were
it was
saying.
kind of trash.
Yeah, but it was kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm against the tide of the views for it.
I'm not
And I'm
sure,
thinking,
but is that the same
oh,
dude who sat there and bitched about Legend
probably,
that also had Tom Hardy in? Maybe he just doesn't like Tom Hardy.
maybe he's jealous.
Yeah, because I remember when he gave it the 1-star review, and the Legend group actually put it right in the middle between Tom Hardy and Tom
Oh
Hardy, so it's
yeah,
still like a 5-star but hidden.
yeah,
I
I remember
loved
that.
that was
That was
great.
fantastically done. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, I do. You have to watch it. I think you can't. I can't say it enough that you need to watch it.
And
And
it's
I don't.
done good box office wise. I mean, everyone thought, oh, it's Dunkirk is an English story, but I think it's taken quite a lot in America, and which is good to see.
It's come out at the
Um,
right time as well because obviously you did have the 100 year for World War One
mm,
Passchendaele yesterday,
mm.
Monday, Monday. Yeah,
It was Sunday, wasn't it? I think,
I can't
or
remember. It was one of the days.
mm. And it's
Yeah,
the busiest film I've been in terms of screenings.
yeah.
Every
Jesus
screening,
Christ! I went to the small one. I went to a small one in Newton Abbott,
mm,
and I was like, it's hardly ever busy in here. And it's been out for what, over a week now.
yeah, yeah, a week now, isn't it? Week on
And
Friday, well, week Friday just gone.
yeah, I saw it Sunday evening. I thought 6 o'clock. There'll be a couple of people in there. It won't be too busy. It was rammed. I thought, fuck. Good thing
Yeah.
I booked.
Well, it's probably busy here because obviously there's bits in the film which is filmed in Weymouth, so everyone from Weymouth was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
look," pointing at the screen. Oh, look, that's down the road.
Did you go?
And I
I met
think,
him. I met him.
yeah,
Killian. Now, actually, can I quickly talk about that whole bit?
yes.
Killian Murphy seemed kind of useless throughout the whole of it.
Well,
He
he doesn't
didn't.
really do much, does he?
That's what I mean. You just kind of felt like he was just there.
Mm,
He didn't sort of tie together any plot points. He just was in a boat,
there.
and then he got on another boat, and then proceeded to have to get off of that boat into another boat,
But I
and
think
then kill the young man by
in a
accident.
weird way, I think because Nolan said, "Look, I want my leading people basically to be unknown younguns," then you've kind of got the other side of it, like Mark Rylance, Tom Hardy, and Cillian Murphy, to go. Oh, hold up, there is actually film stars, but the
Yeah,
main people are going to be younguns. Which kind of makes sense because it is a massive blockbuster. I can't remember what the budget was. It's got to be over 100 million, I would have thought. I mean, they are fantastic, and I think Mark Rylance is probably the best leading actor in it.
yeah,
Um,
he did very good. Um, I also actually have to agree, have to mention a notable mention for the pilot the second pilot that crashed.
Yeah, the young chap, the
Yeah.
Scottish guy. He was brilliant, wasn't he?
I've seen him before, but I don't know where, and it's kind of annoying. So I'm going to see if I can find out who he is. But he was very, very good.
And he gave a much needed laugh at one point when he crashes, and obviously he nearly drowns, and he gets up, and the first thing he says is "afternoon," and I'm thinking that is such a Scottish thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
No worry, no complaints about nearly dying, just afternoon.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
there was a small chuckle. He's called Jack Loudon, Lowden. I think that's Loudon. Chelmsford, Essex, England, 1990. It's only a little older than us. Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama in 2011 he graduated. But what else have I seen him in?
I know him from 71. That was good.
Dunkirk, England Is Mine, United Kingdom, Battlefield 1. He was a voice of a character in that.
Oh, he's in the United Kingdom. I didn't even know that.
He was in Wolf Hall with whatever his
Mark
name
Rylance.
is. Yeah, that's the one. The one. He did an episode in that. Yeah, 1971. Actually, I don't think I've actually seen him in anything else.
No. Which is what I mean.
Endlessly familiar.
Nolan didn't want big, massive young stars to fill the roles. He wanted reasonably unknown stars, even though Harry Styles obviously was pretty well known.
Yeah, I'll give it to him though. He wasn't bad. I thought he was going to be so bad. He did well. Yeah.
I thought he was fantastic.
It was one of my big worries, but I've realised we've just sat here and spoken for about 40 odd minutes, so we're going to have to wrap up in a second. Yeah, but do you have anything else you would like to add before we wrap up?
Not really. You're saying this week. I'm trying to think. Well, you got that weird Luke Besson film called Valerian, which looks very odd.
Yeah, it's based on the book, and I'm not sure on that.
And then
I've said to Kay, those two actors, so Cara Delevingne and whoever is
Dane DeHaan,
aren't the greatest actors in the world. And
Cara Delevingne isn't.
Yeah, but if you actually focus on the trailers, they get no face time on it at all. They get no sort of screen time to actually talk. They're just muted all the way through, and I sit there and I think, why have they muted them?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, he's like 2 hours 20 minutes long, and I'm thinking, oh, Jesus. Here we go. Bring the coffee. And then the film I am looking forward to, which is out next week, is Atomic Blonde.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realise until I started getting the blog ready for the film review. It's directed by the guy who was basically the director of John Wick, the first one.
Okay.
So it basically looks like a female John Wick.
I've heard it's not that good.
Oh, goodness gracious. Don't spoil all my fun.
Well, I won't spoil your fun. It looked absolutely awful. Whenever I saw the trailers for it, I was like, that looks bad.
Well, I am pumped, ready to see Charlize Theron kicking ass like she did in Mad Max.
Well, let's hope she does. And let's hope it's actually decent, but I can't quite get over it. Just doesn't look very good.
But anyway, we shall see.
And there was nothing else you were going to add to that list, no?
No, because the week after we've got some stuff that I want to talk about in regards to a certain Stephen King film which is coming out, but that can be for the next week.
Okay then, well we shall wrap up here then. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for joining me, Dan.
No worries.
If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to see more, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tune in next Sunday for our next podcast. But thank you very much. We'll see you then.
Goodbye now.